Jim's death changes everything. Not just for Tabitha, not just for Julie and Ethan, but for the entire structure of From itself. Jim was never simply another resident trying to survive the nightmare. He represented logic. He was the man who kept trying to force reason into a place built on chaos. Every radio tower, every theory, every desperate attempt to prove this place had rules. It all came back to Jim refusing to accept that the town was something supernatural. He needed it to be solvable, he needed it to make sense. And now he's gone. That matters because the moment logic dies in a story like this, something darker takes its place. Fear takes over. Faith becomes more dangerous than facts. And the people left behind start listening to voices they should never trust. Season 4, Episode 2, makes that painfully clear. This episode is not about shock value. It is about transition. It is the beginning of a new stage in the town's control over its people. Jim's death is not just a tragedy. It is a signal. The board has changed, and now the town is moving its next pieces into position. Sophia's mission, Julie's strange connection to storywalking, and Ethan's terrifying dreams are not separate mysteries. They are connected. They are part of the same design. And the deeper you look, the clearer it becomes that this town is no longer asking who will survive. It is deciding who it wants to keep. Sophia's storyline is the first major warning. On the surface, her mission feels like a classic mystery setup. She is following clues, chasing answers, moving closer to the truth. But From has taught us something important over and over again. Nobody follows clues in this town unless the town wants them to. There is no random discovery here. Every accident feels placed. Every sign feels deliberate. Every person who thinks they are uncovering something eventually realizes they were being led there all along. That is exactly what makes Sophia's journey so unsettling. She is not finding the truth. She is being guided toward it, and that means someone, or something, already knows where she is supposed to end up. That pattern should sound familiar because we have seen it before. Sarah believed the voices were guiding her toward salvation, but every step pulled her deeper into horror. Boyd followed impossible visions and ended up carrying something inside him that changed him forever. Tabitha believed the lighthouse was an escape, only to discover that leaving the town did not mean freedom. Hope in From is never simple hope. It is bait. Sophia is standing at the edge of that same trap. Her mission feels too clean, too intentional, almost ritualistic. It is like the town has selected her for a purpose she doesn't fully understand yet. And the question becomes, why Sophia? Because this show does not randomly move characters to the center of the mystery. If someone gets closer to the heart of the town, it means they matter to whatever is controlling it. Sophia may not be important because of what she knows. She may be important because of what she can become. That is the terrifying possibility. The town does not just trap people, it transforms them. It breaks them down and reshapes them until they fit into its cycle. Sophia may be stepping into a role someone else once held. Maybe someone who failed. Maybe someone who disappeared. Maybe someone who became one of the things waiting outside at night. That idea becomes even darker when you place it next to Jim's death. In stories like this, death is never just an ending. It is a replacement. One person falls so another can rise. One role ends so another can begin. Jim represented resistance. He challenged the system. He refused to surrender to mystery. His death creates a vacuum, and nature hates a vacuum. Someone will fill that space. Someone will inherit the emotional and narrative weight he leaves behind. And the person standing closest to that collapse is Julie. Julie's storyline in this episode is quietly the most terrifying part of the entire season. Because while everyone is focused on grief, Julie is changing. Her connection to storywalking is becoming impossible to ignore, and that term alone should make every viewer nervous. Storywalking sounds almost poetic, almost harmless, but in a show like From, it is anything but. If Julie is truly able to move through memories, visions, or fragments of reality, then she is touching something much deeper than anyone realizes. She is not just surviving the town anymore, she is interacting with its structure. That changes everything. Because maybe this place is not just haunted, maybe it is layered. Different timelines, different echoes, different versions of the same suffering happening over and over again. Julie may not simply be seeing strange things. She may be walking through the architecture of the nightmare itself. She may be crossing between pieces of the story that were never meant to be touched. That is bigger than monsters. That is bigger than survival. That is access to the mechanism underneath the horror. And in From, access always comes with a price. Victor survived because he adapted to the madness. Sarah survived because she surrendered to the voices. Boyd survived because he kept moving no matter how impossible it became. Julie may survive because she can see what no one else can. But survival does not mean safety. The scariest possibility is that story walking is not a gift, it is recruitment. The town may be preparing her, training her, making her into something that can exist between its layers. Not someone who escapes it, but someone who belongs to it. Look at how isolated Julie feels. She is carrying grief, confusion, fear, and responsibility all at once. She is emotionally fractured. And this town has always targeted broken people. That is not a coincidence. Vulnerability is how it gets inside you. Jim's death does not just hurt Julie because she lost her father. It creates an opening. Grief weakens boundaries. It makes people desperate. It makes them listen. And when people in From start listening, terrible things follow. That is why Ethan becomes so important. Because Ethan has always existed in a strange space between innocence and understanding. Adults dismiss him because he is a child, but children in From are never just children. They are connected to something older, stranger, and far more dangerous. The boy in white proved that. The ghostly children proved that. Ethan's dreams in episode 2 prove it again. These are not normal nightmares. They feel specific, heavy, deliberate, like messages disguised as dreams. That has always been Ethan's role. He does not explain the town like Jim tried to. He feels it. He senses truths before anyone else can put words to them. That makes him both valuable and vulnerable. Because if dreams in this world are a form of communication, then Ethan is receiving transmissions no one else can hear. And the tone of those dreams matters. They are not hopeful. They are warnings. Something is coming. The terrifying question is whether Ethan is seeing the future or remembering the past. Because if From runs on cycles, and all evidence suggests it does, then maybe none of this is new. Maybe this story has already happened, over and over again, with different families, different names, but the same structure. Same town. Same roles. Same ending. Ethan's dreams may not be prophecy. They may be memories. Fragments of previous cycles bleeding into the present because he is somehow connected to the town's deeper consciousness. That would explain so much. Why the place feels familiar to people who have never been there. Why Victor understands things he should not. Why symbols appear before anyone knows what they mean. Why the town feels less like a physical location and more like something remembered. Because maybe it is memory. A living memory. A system built from pain that repeats itself endlessly. And Ethan can hear it. That is why Jim's death matters so much. Jim tried to solve the puzzle from the outside. Ethan may be part of the puzzle itself. One man searched for answers through logic. The other may carry the answers inside him without even understanding them. That shift is massive. It means the center of the mystery is moving away from adults trying to control the town and toward children who are connected to it in ways no one fully understands. And that is where episode 2 becomes truly horrifying. Sophia is being guided. Julie is being prepared. Ethan is being warned. These are not isolated stories. They are stages of the same process. The town is choosing people. It is deciding who matters next, who gets pulled deeper, who becomes part of the machinery. Jim's death was not just a loss. It was the first domino. The next phase has already started, and the people being chosen may not get to refuse. Part 2 gets even darker, because there is one hidden connection between Sophia, Julie, and Ethan that may reveal the most terrifying truth of all. This town may already know exactly who becomes the next victor.